All right, welcome back to round number 2 at Modern Mondays here, hanging out in Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. We're Portland Paper. I'm Travis Cooper, hanging out with both
Vinny Belstray.
and
Ian Lunger.
no. So it's a three for one here this evening, and we got round number 2, and what do we have?
Some awesome matches here. We have Izzet Storm versus Bant Snow Control, but on opposite sides of the table. We're all about Storm here tonight in Portland, a rainy city.
Yeah, we teased you with some ground riffs in round 1, and we're gonna give you the full deal here in round number 2.
Yeah, the unfortunate feeling of playing a Mystic Sanctuary for a tapped island, but sometimes necessary.
So I feel like I'm favoring Storm here in game 1. And I would say afterboard, Jay gets a little bit better. There's some Veil Sumbers, but I feel like Jay's deck is basically blue-white control with Ice Fang Codals and Uros to just like super grind like mid-late game value stuff.
Yeah.
But we're pretty limited on interaction. I think we're probably at like a couple mana leaks, maybe so a couple Force of Negations, but not a ton of counter magic.
Yeah. Is there a reason to wait to do the path on the upkeep instead? I mean, he could potentially create some storm count, but
I think the issue would be playing around Remand.
sure, sure. That is a very good
So
reason.
yeah, I feel like there's not a right call or
Right.
wrong call for that, but definitely like that is a reason why you do it.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, Jay's better at this than I am because Nick's holding a remand. So.
Remand, I think we do have another Electromancer. So this gets awkward for Jay because basically you're going to have to resolve some kind of win condition, and your win conditions are expensive. They're like Jace, the
Mhm.
Mind Sculptor, or you want to play Uro to generate some value, but if you play Uro, you're not going to have any counter magic up.
Yeah, I think also awkward. I think the other land is a Mystic Sanctuary. So. Oh no,
Field of
Field
Ruin.
of Ruin. Hmm. Well. Oh, that Snow Globe is untapped, but.
So it looks like Jay has a Mystic Sanctuary, Teferi, Little Teferi, 2 Ice Fang Codals, and a Celestial Colonnade in hand.
And Ice Fang coming in.
Starting to do some work and draw some cards. Ooh, True Lance. Well, I guess we have at least one more draw, right?
Teferi's decent right now. You can play Teferi and bounce a brawl, but it's just going to get remanded, and then Nick's going to get to cycle, which is going to be a feel bad for Jay, but a real feel good for Nick.
Yeah. And Jay just making all of the calls knows exactly what's happening. Oh yeah, he gets to not only cycle but loot as well, right?
Yes.
Yikes.
Yeah. So it's a thing. It's like a lot of times when you're playing these control decks against a matchup, and you know the cards that are in your opponent's deck, you're sort of like, I'm playing this into your remand, but I
Yep.
don't have any other thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
still the best play. Sometimes you
Um,
just have to make them have it.
and then it feels really good when they don't.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Just
Uh,
like if Nick begins to storm off here, I think you just make him go through it, and sometimes they spend their mana wrong, and the turn is over.
Very rarely with traditional Storm, but that is a thing where I usually do make my opponents at least make the correct gifts ungiven
Yeah.
grabs, and then once I do, I'm like, oh, you know what's up.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I would say very rarely with Nick. He's
Yeah.
very good at playing these kinds of decks. Oh, and we drew a ritual. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's a lot of mana.
Yep.
We got a 2 storm count.
Doing the things.
We're doing a 3 storm count with a bunch of mana. He's got like 15 red now.
Jay's like, you do you.
Yeah.
And Nick's like, yeah.
And yeah, Jay sees it. All right. Well, quick game 1. Sometimes that's what Storm does.
So do you feel like that it's interesting now that it feels like Bant is Bant's sort of taken over Blue White's slot as the control deck. Even though I play Jeskai, I'm not ever going to pretend that that's a deck that a lot of people play unless you're on the SCG
Yeah.
circuit 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But because that you're slotting in other cards like Uro and the Codals, you have less counter spells, so Storm kind of feels like a decent spot to be in when you're expecting, like against a control deck,
Mhm.
like less ways to interact with you game one. And Path is sort of pretty meh against
Yeah.
Storm. We're like, oh, I'll take extra land because I need to use all my.
Seems great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're pathing my guy that was making me cheat on mana by 1, giving me 1 mana to then replay a second copy of that still lets me keep the same
Okay,
momentum.
just gotta respond to chat really fast, but
Oh,
Jessica is
yeah.
great. You can go watch our YouTube channel from last week. Did pretty well. Anyways, back
Was
to
last week the week you cheated too?
I cheated, but I
Never forget.
I went 4-0 anyways, so it's fine. When you have Texas cryptic commands, I can do anything you want. Anyway, so what do you have for sideboards?
So I think Bant Snow has Disdainful Stroke, which doesn't seem terrible. Seems okay. Has Aether Gust, which is a card that I didn't know about until a moment ago. But
Oh,
we
really?
now... I don't know.
Do you know what Flash Freeze is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it...
Flash Freeze is better, I think, but everyone plays Aether Gust now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. Well, it's a card. It
It's a
doesn't really
card.
do anything in this matchup. I guess it counters a Past in Flames. I don't know.
It doesn't counter it.
It has a Dovin's Veto. Dovin's Veto seems like gas in this matchup. And Veil of Summers
The best card.
seems really good.
'Cause
Another card that
they
is still
can't-
in Modern,
yeah.
surprisingly.
You get Hexproof from stuff.
Yeah, seems good.
Wait, Veil of Summer, it always confuses the hell out of me. You get Hexproof from blue and black, right?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
So I think the kicker with Veil in this matchup is I believe you have to target a player with Gifts Ungiven. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
chat. But I think Veil is quite good against Gifts Ungiven.
It's true. It feels like Veil is better when you're trying to force through your own stuff than necessarily when you're trying to like counter what your opponent's doing. I don't know. What do you think about the card in this matchup, Benny?
It seems only okay.
Yeah.
I guess it seems like a supporter to a counterspell you're gonna play, and I don't think you really want to be doing that.
Yeah, well, I do feel like when you're playing a control deck against Storm, basically you're going to have to fight on a stack and have at least 2 counter spells in a turn.
Yeah.
So Veil could be neat to be like your second 1 mana, like quote unquote counter spell.
Sure, that's true. Storm gets a lot of tools though to beat the counterspell decks.
What do we got?
Factor Fiction, Pieces of the Puzzle, and Empty the Warrens if we want to try and go under, which I don't know that I do, but target opponent does target, so that Veil of Summer turns off the Gifts Ungiven.
That counters
pretty
it for
cute.
1, draws a card. I do, so speaking of
yeah,
Nick's
draws a
sideboard, you're probably, the thing that the Storm deck does is they board out their gifts and they put in Pieces of the Puzzle and Factor Fiction. Or maybe they board out 2 gifts and put in 2 pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's all about what do you think your opponent sideboarded in? What do you bring in? Yeah, that's the reason Empty's there for, usually generate some goblin tokens early and then play out the rest of the game, or like alternate win con that doesn't rely on the graveyard.
Which I was just about to mention is that Nick has Aria of Flame as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is also pretty house in this matchup. We're mulling to 5.
That doesn't seem his house.
Not as good.
I like Arya. And then if you're bringing in Arya, I think you're more about card quantity than card quality, and
Sure.
so I think I'm going to bring in the pieces too.
Yeah, I think so as well.
What do you think about Empty? Do you bring that in this matchup?
Yeah, I think so. I can't imagine. I guess I'm trying to think of what sweeper Bant Snow Control is gonna play that even if you only make 8 goblins,
Supreme Verdict?
they're not gonna play Supreme.
It's in the
Verdict
deck.
against you.
Yeah, if I'm playing Bant Snow Control, I 100% keep in my verdicts.
Oh my gosh, I would
it
definitely
pitches
not.
to Force of Negation, and also Storm always has some amount of empties in the deck.
I guess. Yeah. All right. Well, there's a reason that I'm in the booth and Jay is undefeated. So. Ooh, that Spell Snare is gonna feel really good too. Maybe in my top 10 favorite cards.
So Nick does have a decent hand here, does have a Baral, it looks like, as well as the pieces of the puzzle, which can help recover some of the cards lost from the mulligan.
Right.
Assuming that Jay probably snap Force of Negations, something like pieces of the puzzle here, if it's available, but...
Yeah, he has Mana Leak as well, so he doesn't even... Oh, interesting. Jay brought in the Ashioks. I'm always so on the fence on that card about... I mean, the matchups where it's very, very good, it's very good, but the 3 mana cost on it is rough.
Yeah, I feel like in this matchup you're trying to shut off gifts, but, you know, that's pretty meh, I think. And your opponent might be siding out some of them, so I don't like bringing it in necessarily. I do feel like it's such a lights out hoser against any like Titan decks.
Yeah. Jay just drew mini Cryptic Command, Archmage's Charm.
But hear me out on the Ashiok here.
Okay.
So
right.
Nick, I mean, this match may go long, so Nick may be playing a lot of lands, and it will negate fetch lands if Ashiok is out. Also,
Nick's not playing fetch lands, to note.
Okay, well, then it doesn't do that. Also, you can exile Nick's graveyard, so sometimes this deck likes to go off in kind of small amounts against other control decks, so maybe they'll play 4 spells and make some goblins. And you could exile the graveyard at that point to kind of keep Nick from getting a critical mass of cards to make Past in Flames as good.
Yeah. Those are all great reasons.
Valid points. It is, I feel like with Storm, I personally playing control decks against Storm, if I'm playing 3 mana cards, I like them to be like really lights out cards like a Narset or a Teferi if you have Force backup, or like a win condition. Like the preemptive protection spells are like, yeah.
I guess if I believe that all the gifts are staying in and I'm solely dedicated to beating only that card, then I would bring in Ashiok. But I think if I saw Arya Flame, I would not keep my Ashioks in.
Well. So if I'm playing Baral, I definitely want to be doing something else this turn.
We've got double Ritual empty, I think.
I think a Manamorphose is always a good way to start things off.
Start finding something.
We do have a Force of Negation for Jay.
All right.
I feel like I snap Force of Negation that, but
if you snap Force the first ritual,
you get blown out by Remand, but
yeah.
Oh, we do have a Mystical Dispute, which is pretty. It's a good protection for Nick as long as we keep at least 1 blue up.
Well, we don't have any. Oh, we do have blue up from the Manamorphose.
Yeah, we got.
See, they just the mana. You have to force. You have to just force and hope he doesn't have it, right? He has 2 cards in his hand.
yeah, what do you think Jay's waiting for with this Force of Negation?
So how many red mana do we have floating now is the real question for me. That's
Red is tough to see.
I think we just have 1 ritual that went off. So
okay.
I think we have 3 red. But we've just spent our last blue, so...
Oh, well, okay, sorry, guys. Rewind. We've got a Teferi out. We, state-based effects here. Rules changes stapled onto Planeswalkers, I should say. Nick's not going to be able to counter Jay's Force Negation, so...
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Jay can get greedy here, especially since you see Nick spending mana. So right now, depending on how much mana is in Nick's pool, you can... Oh...
Ritual again and Grape Shot and have no cards left in hand? Do you Grape Shot the Teferi?
Is that... do we have 3 red? Is that
I think it's 3 red, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The call was all Grape Shots at Teferi. Beats the Force of Negation, because if you only send 5...
Oh wow! All of that.
Not even swinging. I like it.
Get to
Nick was like, I don't want that point of damage. I'm just gonna Grape Shot you later for it.
Wow, we only have 2 cards in hand for Nick. If I'm Jay now, it's pretty safe to cast that Ashiok.
Yeah.
If you
Oh
don't
yeah.
bring
I
it
would
in,
definitely slam the Ashiok now, because now you're beating gifts all day.
oh, we did bring in the empties.
Oof.
That shuts down a lot of
Hmm.
things.
Is there any reason that you cast surgical before? Oh wow, this is pretty good. Well,
It's
it's
yeah.
gotta get forced. Oh yeah.
Oh. Mystical Dispute looks pretty decent now.
Yep, it's pretty strong here. Brawl gets the loot, so we can toss a land.
It seems really good.
And Aria of Flame can target planeswalkers. Another thing of note.
Yeah, and Jay gained 10 life there, right?
Yeah.
Was he at 18?
I think we had some.
I guess I don't know how else he would have gained life. I'm not looking at life totals. Well, that's pretty good too.
Oh, all right.
Do you do you not bounce so that you can have cryptic mana when he goes to recast the Aria next turn?
Nah, I think I guess it's
He only has
awkward.
2 cards. It's definitely awkward. I don't know. There's things
Oh,
to think about.
Okay, it looks
there.
like we got a path in hand, so we can protect the Teferi.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of the continued activation of Ashiok at this point. I think just keeping the loyalty a little bit higher is maybe more worth it than just kind of milling cards off the top of Nick's deck.
How many cards has he drawn over draw step? Just 1 Manamorphose, I think. Oh, and a sleight of hand
I think we had
and Pieces
pieces.
of the Puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like enough to try to do any work with Ashiok. Yeah.
Well, I feel like if Jay is able to then Cryptic bounce this Arya and then gain another 10 life,
Just to go to 48.
yeah, actually milling your opponent might
Okay,
not
okay.
be the worst play.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, Jay's alternate plan may come into effect here.
Chat, he can search with path. It's only effects that your opponents control. That's something. It would be too broken if that was the thing you could do. So Ashiok basically says effects your opponent's control can't cause them to search your library.
Still going for the mill. I love it. And there goes Wipe Away.
You also get if Jay also thinks there's no way I lose this game, you get a lot of information on how your opponent's
True,
sideboarded.
very true. I guess the surgical doesn't matter.
We're gonna get a counter bounce.
Another Aria?
I'm gonna put some money on
Whew.
this.
10 more life. Put it up. Oh, what? Take the life. Take the life. Oh, counter bounce.
You
is
know
pretty
what
good.
we're also gonna do for Jay?
Oh my
We're gonna
gosh!
fetch.
Oh
we're
my
fetching for
gosh!
Mystic Sanctuary and putting Cryptic on top.
What? No, you're just gonna surgical extract the Aria and get it out of his hand because he couldn't recast it. Oh.
Well, then you're also going to fetch for Mystic Sanctuary and put Cryptic back on top.
Yeah, I think he has 23 cards left. Just cryptic balance your Ashiok, keep the mill playing going.
You know, that's actually not necessarily the worst thing in the
No,
world.
no.
but
I mean,
the
honestly,
past-
with only
yeah.
20 cards left, I don't know. And like 20 cards left, no Arias. What? 1 empty, 1 grape shot gone, maybe 2 grape shots gone. He's at 35 life. I don't know what. I mean, like, there has to be a non-storm win condition now for him to win, I think. Like, there has to be something spicy in there that. And I don't know that there is, but.
Oh. I sort of wanted to see that Ashiok go back.
Did he
to
draw
hand.
another Ashiok? Oh. Maybe. Oh, but do we have Snap Cryptic Lock now?
I feel like Archmage's Charm is a really underrated card that
Super underrated.
is probably going to tick up in value in the next like 6 months or so.
I mean, being from them, I think Modern Horizons cards like they're hard reprint, right? So anything that's good is going to be good for a long time.
It got such a huge boost when Mystic Sanctuary was printed too, because before that triple blue cost seemed prohibitive, but now that everybody's trying to get to triple blue for Sanctuary, it kind of works with the current deck building ideology.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that Jay drew a Supreme Verdict.
You drew a Supreme Verdict? You don't say.
So
You don't say.
It's in the deck.
I can't think of a single sweeper. Settle the wreckage. That's a card.
I've played that in my
Wrath of
75. I've also played that in my 75.
When you're not alone. I'm definitely playing my.
When you're playing against humans, you got to diversify those sweepers.
Day of Judgment.
Yeah. Wait, is Day of Judgment the Campy Regenerator?
They go
or
to
is
the
that Wrath
bottom,
of God?
right? Day of Judgments, put them all at the bottom.
No, Day of Judgment's the like strictly worst Wrath of God.
Just destroy it.
Yeah, it's just destroys. It doesn't have the no regen clause.
Jay is just setting up a way to keep everything on lockdown. I think if I'm Nick, I'm trying to establish a hand that will let me win in a single turn. Like, it's so hard to commit resources to the board.
I think if I'm Nick, I might concede. But
Yeah, I know. With the no, he knows he has the force though. Interesting. We have a mystical dispute probably. Oh, he has the. He's gonna untap Past in Flames. Gosh, Fact of Fiction being an instant is so good.
Oh, the old remanger on
I
spell.
love it.
Feels
I love
so
it.
good. Oh, we let it happen. Jay's like, that's fine.
Huh.
Jay's just over here like every time you draw more cards, you're closer to milling yourself out.
So
it's
close
cool.
to the mill.
I mean, I guess there's another surgical in hand, and Nick's payoff is Past in Flames, so. Like, how do you lose this game? Do you know, or how do you lose this match? I know how you lose this match. By going to time and drawing.
I think you could lose if you empty the Warrens and then they played Supreme Verdict.
No, I mean, how does Jay lose? Jay loses by
going to time in the
and drawing,
actual round, yeah. Well, that's one way to win the game. Yeah, have to cast Factor Fiction to try and find a counter spell. Yep.
I'm kind of fine with that.
Trying to dig up a Mystic Sanctuary. Or, sorry, a Mystical Dispute.
That doesn't really even do much, except make your opponent tap 3 lands.
What? It's not just counter check a blue spell? What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Pyroblast?
No, isn't there a counter a blue spell that's a blue spell?
Mystic Sanctuary counters
costs 1 less if it's
spell
blue.
unless your opponent plays 3, and it costs 1 blue if the spell is blue.
Oh my god, that card is bad.
Mystical Dispute. We keep saying Mystic Sanctuary.
Oh, sorry.
We're all
Mystical Dispute.
We're doing.
Mystical
we're all
some,
mixed up here in the booth.
Cards that involve the number 3 and the color blue. Archmage's Charm, Mystical Dispute, Mystic Sanctuary.
They're usually all played in the same decks. I think I'm just giving my opponent Brawl and Gifts, right? Brawl, Gifts, and land. I guess you could give him Empty and land.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I
think
give
you-
him empty because I have the Supreme
verdict, yeah.
I think you consider just stunting on him and giving him all 5 cards.
I was also thinking that too. It
Yeah.
doesn't even with all 5, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't win even with all 5.
That's some BD right there.
Maybe if you can put both lands into play. Jace resolves. Pass priority, activate surgical?
Actually, I think Nick still does have the Past in Flames in hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's probably like still a chance that Nick can win here. It doesn't seem
Jay
good.
now has a
but-
Dovin's Veto on top of Cryptic Command Surgical.
Yeah.
feel like the writing's on the wall here.
But I mean, time management is the thing. What happened to Nick's deck? Well, It got Ashioked a fair number of times. With the activation, we maybe were giving Jay a little bit of gruff. I wasn't. The other commentators were. I thought it was a good plan, Jay, if you're watching.
I was saying I wouldn't bring it in, but it did a lot of work. It was just and I didn't realize that it countered gifts ungiven. So the fact that it counters gifts ungiven makes it much better. All right, here we go. Nick's like, if I'm making a move, it's this turn. We're just gonna hope you're holding 3 lands.
4 cards left in library. This is, you know what, I love decking storm decks, and I love decking dredge decks. Those are 2 of my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
things.
decking a dredge deck feels really great.
I think if you're Jay right here, you got to give the exile pile account and start looking at cards just to figure out if you need to surgical to maybe remove 1 more card from that library.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be a pretty sweet move in response to Manamorphose, to be like, you got one of these in your deck, so we're going to take it out of there.
Oh, there wasn't Manamorphose left in the deck. I think Nick is trying to set up for a Grape Shot Past in Flames Grape Shot. Oh no, just making a zillion.
Jay,
Oh man.
nonplussed.
Yeah, not even phased. I'm like, oh shoot.
I would just show my opponent the verdict and be like, you don't have to count out your gun.
Jay floated the verdict on top of the library, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Floated it 2 down.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, now Nick is like, I have a Past in Flames, not knowing that we also still have a Surgical to get through.
Also, Dovin's Veto.
Oh yeah, Dovin's
Nick
Veto
isn't
can still
even
be cast with the Astrolabe.
surgicaling the passive.
Whew, whew. Huh. Yikes. There we go. Yep. There's the last win con. Taken away by a surgical. On to game 3. 15 minutes is still a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned.
I'm
Probably
kind-
have to play at a good clip.
So I'm sort of more into Nick just playing that one out like they did instead of conceding earlier, because you're more likely to win quickly, and your opponent is more likely to take a long time to win. So if you're playing to not lose the match, you leave yourself open to winning the match or your opponent drawing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you've won game 1, you're the faster deck, right?
That said, you do show them like your entire sideboard.
Yeah, but that's why
Pretty much.
you go back into your sideboard, shuffle some cards into your deck,
Shuffle the
take
whole
some
sideboard
cards
in, you
out,
take out the cards that were bad.
look at your opponent deeply.
You
and
know
be
you're
like,
getting milled, maybe you just keep the whole sideboard in.
They look at you. They're like, the same cards are going to be good against you. I'm not going to change anything.
Well, so the Ashiok is interesting, right? I guess Nick brought in all of the alternate win cons, so it doesn't really matter. I wonder what he boarded out, if he boarded out any gifts.
I think if you're Jay, you got positive reinforcement for the Ashiok, so you're keeping that thing in there for sure.
Yeah, I still don't know. I guess if you have worse cards to board out, and there's probably a lot of pretty medium to bad cards, Uro isn't great in this matchup. You're probably
Agreed.
boarding out some, if not all of those.
Yeah, I wish this is like a thing of things past, but like I wish there was some like big fatty creature win con that Storm could get to. Like I'm imagining if they just like slammed
Panglacial Worm.
Sure, bring it up, Ian. I don't know what that card is.
Are you thinking like
Kyrnos, pick a real card. What do you?
I think the issue,
Glacial Worm.
the issue with doing that against a deck that like Bant Snow Control is they're not playing cards like Lightning Bolt or Fatal Push, so their only removal is going to be Path, so they're leaving in Path Exile.
That's true.
I
guess Aria Flame is that card.
Yeah.
Right.
Storm sometimes chat says Thing in the Ice, and yeah, that's
yeah.
a legit thing that happens.
Wow, yeah, you could play Thing in the Ice or Pan Glacial Worm.
Yeah, bear
Those
with
are
me.
Options.
Yeah, if you're playing the Teamer version with the Veil of Summers, you search your library, just drop the Panglacial Worm on your fetch.
Well, you could just do it with Manamorphose too.
But Nick also isn't playing fetches, as Travis has told me, so.
Most Storm lists have transitioned out of fetches. That's happened slowly over some years, but basically the idea is so much of what you're doing in your setup terms is scrying with Serum Vision, Sleight of Hand, etc., that when you're playing a fetch land mana base, you're shuffling in all the scries to the bottom, to the top. But if you're playing
Yeah.
no fetches, literally those cards aren't getting recirculated.
You can play that worm for free when you fetch?
No,
That's
no, you
how...
got to pay its mana cost. So you
Oh,
can just
okay.
play
I
it.
was like, what in the world? Sphinx of the Final Word. Can we bring up that card? What does that do? Is that
It's like can't be countered. It's big. It
Yeah, yeah.
flies.
Is it from? I think it's from. Is it from War of the Spar?
I feel like in every
Sam of Jones?
standard cycle, there's like the big.
Yeah, the Sphinx, the Dragon,
The-
the Hydra.
Or mostly the blue has a
Oh,
like
Gatewatch.
thing that can't be countered that's hexproof with some upside.
That's interesting. I can get behind that. Oddly enough, if Uro was still in there, it would look embarrassing. But just have 6/6s swinging into your 5/5. And so far, this looks like this game is panning out how I would expect. Astrolabe into cheating creature into Path to Exile, and then continuing play from there.
Also, if I'm Nick, I don't super mind being path there. It.
Ooh. What if Jay just played Panglacial Worm? He has the colors.
I feel like I
just
can't even
saying.
respond to this. Like,
Cannot
chain of
wait to
thought.
be round 1 on stream next week. Panglacial Worm. You heard it here.
I mean, it is in. There's the.
Urza
What-
makes a lot of mana, Vinny.
Ooh, that's a good way to make mana.
What's the deck that plays 200 or plays like 250?
Battle of Wits?
Battle Wits. It's in
Yeah.
Battle Wits. I feel like
Oh.
that's the only modern deck that actually plays that card.
It seems like a very aggressive Factor Fiction on Nick's part. Oh, Pioneer Lotus Breach.
Yeah,
All right.
fine. Seems. I think you're playing around a hardcast Force of Negation, or
Yeah, yeah.
It's on your opponent's turn. Which seems
I have 4 lands already. I think I am happy to take the Grape Shot, unless I already have a Storm win con.
Also, Jay only has 2 mana in play, so we can't hardcast the Force of Negation currently.
Right, but I think Travis didn't do it now, so you don't have to worry about
okay.
it.
Yes,
Right,
makes
yeah.
sense.
that was an upkeep, so I think that was why it happened then. Are we just jamming that Ashiok? Nope. Nope, we're not. That's the interesting thing about Force of Negation is that it's only on your opponent's turn. Can you play it without with the alternate casting cost? So I think that's why decks like Through the Breach have seen an uptick in play. Is that it's a way that if you end step Through the Breach for your Emrakul, you can both protect your spell with Force of Negation, and also your opponent has to pay the casting cost, not the alternate cost.
It looks like maybe debating about a Mystical Dispute.
I know we're usually a kid show, but every time I see that art in Serum Visions, I definitely think of
Why?
sperm swimming towards an egg.
Oh, gross. Gross.
Chat got
Who did
muted
that?
for saying the word kill, and now you're on chat talking about what's I mean, what is the most that Nick can storm for here? 5? Yeah, I guess, like, is there... Oh, there's a Past in Flames, though, too. I mean...
You're not going for it this turn, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. Jay, not even... Oh, was that a pass turn? Is this end step?
Yep.
Yeah. Yikes. I feel like the more mana I let Bant Snow get, the less likely I am to win, but I'm not a Storm player. Or I guess when I've played Storm, I just always just jam it as hard as I can and then just hope for the best. I'm like, you had it.
I mean, I'm sort of, if I'm Nick, I'm fine just building up cards in hand and not really trying to go for it at this point
Totally.
and just doing stuff on Jay's instep.
Yeah, I think especially leaning on the Past in Flames, you're happy to start loading things into your yard and just hoping an Ashiok doesn't come down. I think we're running out of draw spells, though, unless those are pieces of the puzzle. There
Yeah,
we go.
you know,
There we go.
it's like, yeah, I don't care about your Ice Fang. Chaining together some Serum Visions.
There we go. Maybe looking for a big Arya turn, which is what he just drew off the Serum Visions.
Well, that's what we're scrying.
Yeah. Oh, right. But leave it on top so that you can like set up for a big Arya turn. Maybe that's the plan instead of going for Past in Flames.
I feel like if you're Nick, you're gonna have to bait Jay into a counter battle that you don't care about at some
Totally.
point.
Oh, because you left it on top. You're going to lose the scry.
Uh,
Oh, that's such a good play.
Actually, do you have Remand available? We might see that if you like, but I think we
Sure.
left Vision plus Arya on top.
Interesting. Interesting.
I think if Arya was on top and Vision was second down, we might have seen that Remand, but I don't think the Remand
the
is worth
Vision was
the
at the top.
Serum Vision, yeah.
Deck worth a grand total of $0. It's just 60 Pan Glacial Worms and a
Zombie
fetch
Hunt.
land.
Zombie Hunt.
Oh, Zombie
basically.
Hunt maybe? That could be.
I think that one's like $20, so.
Cycling the Snow Globes is so good.
Yeah, get a Remand on this one probably.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
Seems great.
And that seems like
so,
I don't like tapping out of that spot if I'm Jay.
he still has the Force and like can pitch the Ashiok to it if he really wants to, but I think if you're Nick and now that you know he has Ashiok, that they have Ashiok, you go for it. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to go for. I would at least start with Past in Flames, which feels wrong, but you're
like-
baiting at least a counter, and then
I mean, Jade looks okay for tapping out. You've got Surgical plus Force. I feel like this is definitely eating the Force, but then
it's got a miss.
gonna get a Mystical Dispute.
Have to. You want to keep your Arya in play.
Yeah,
Great.
feels good. You 2-for-1 to your opponent.
Well, he got 10 life, and he's gonna Cryptic Bounce it, and you're gonna feel bad, but.
Nah. Oh, well, if we Cryptic Bounce it into another land drop, we'll have Dovin's Veto for it on the way back down.
That said, if Jay does just run out the Ashiok here, the Arya can just burn it down. So
Right.
This is a real I love this decision tree right now that Jay's going through, because if you Cryptic Bounce it and draw a land, it's gas because you get Dovin's Veto. And we did it. We did it. High risk, high reward play.
Always better lucky than good. That's my magic motto.
I think we might have a Remand left over for Nick, though. So.
Yeah.
But we might get a Cryptic on top of the deck, so we're just going to be... Oh, no.
Interesting. Not getting Mystic Sanctuary.
Did we not have? Or?
No, I think Wipe Away is the other card in his
Ah.
hand. Love Wipe Away, but not what we're looking for right now. There's a check. Huh.
Remand can't hit Veto, but it can hit your own spell, and then you get to have that back in your hand and you draw a card, which is usually a plus in when you're playing against a control or attrition deck.
It's really
so.
interesting to go for the Arya there instead of just trying to commit to a Past in Flames and getting some value, knowing that Ashiok is in his hand.
yeah, that Ashiok activation when the graveyard's stocked, God, it feels so good on
So
Jay's
bad.
side.
Jay is just stuck on one Surgical, but we have Fetch Land that's going to actually be able to go get whatever spell Jay wants in the graveyard. Nick's like, thanks, I'll exile all those lands.
Jay is like, he's sticking to his guns as far as like, we are
plan.
using Ashiok to mill out Nick.
Yeah, Bant Snow Mill, that's the name of the deck. Yeah, and I guess the plan, if you're gonna keep milling, is to try and hit their threat, right? If it's Arya or if it's Grape Shot or whatever else. And I guess if Nick has had a turn where he didn't Grape Shot down the Ashiok, you know he likely doesn't have it in hand. Ooh, there's the second Aria. Or you leave it on top, Ashiok mills it away.
Yeah, let's see if we can draw it again.
I think you put it on the bottom as your last card and build from there.
No, I think if we got another Mana Morphos, we're drawing this. We're drawing this
Oh
card.
yeah, that's true.
And then we're gonna cast it. I feel like, and then Jay's gonna fetch for a Mystic Sanctuary and get a cryptic and bounce it. But you know, such is life.
Such is life. That is the way it goes.
This is the way.
Well, you did point out, though, that the way that this game doesn't end with Jay winning is by going to time, and we're at 2 minutes on the clock. Nick thinking hard about how to find a way to keep his Aria. There we go. Yep, good call, Travis. I think we're...
Nick's like, my opponent must have a counterspell in hand.
And we're at Storm 5. Did we gain 10 off of this Aria, though?
So
yeah, I think life totals are 29-19. So that was a big turn for Nick, and then we've now set up Aria. But the Mystic Sanctuary to put Cryptic back on top is so brutal.
It's actually, I mean, it's not the worst, right? Jay or Nick's gonna get a couple more turns, and if Jay's like Cryptic Command, put Aria back in your hand, draw a card, and you bounce Mystic Sanctuary, then it's
can't bounce Mystic Sanctuary and Aria. Yeah.
So if you don't draw another counter, it's like you gain 10 life, but whatever.
It's pretty good. But now Nick is loaded, right? He has Aria plus 4 spells in his hand.
Oh shoot, we got a Force Negation. And it's
well,
this is actually really
got it.
This is an interesting decision, because do you want to keep Surgical in your hand? If you do, you don't have a thing to pitch with Force, or do you you know, keep Uro and Force, and then that's it?
I think the Force is a lot stronger than the Surgical here, so I would say keep Force.
Yeah, I think you really want to, like, you know Nick has Aria, right? And I think that you try to beat the threats that you know exist. And Surgical is beating a Past in Flames, but I don't think he's aware that Nick has it. Like, he's aware that it's a possibility, but you know for sure that there's an Aria, right?
That being said, that was a pretty sweet brainstorm.
Yeah. You got a counter.
You can't not.
And hope there isn't 2 rituals in his hand. Yep. Or that. Alright, this is the turn. We have to get a lot. Oh, well, whatever. Storm 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're all. Yeah. All right, here we go. Everything has flashback. How abusive can we get? Play a bunch of Manamorphos.
So we're going to have the line of remand, well...
Oh, Grape Shot, remand Grape Shot.
If we draw another Grape Shot. Because Grape Shot's currently in the yard. Do we have one in hand?
Yard.
2? This is going to be...
Wait, we also have an Aria, right? Is there a way that we win with Aria right now? Because you can, like, Manamorphos, or Ritual Aria...
There's mini lines. I feel like this is a grab your popcorn.
Yeah, strap in. Hope your chair came with a seatbelt. We're being taken for a ride here.
Who knows? It might, you know, end up against a brick wall, or it might end to victory.
Yeah. All right, we've correctly made blue and red mana. And I think we're at 4 mana.
Nick is mulling casting the Aria Flame or not.
No, he discarded Uro to force of negation. Oh, Nick's doing the math in his head that if he plays Arya to win, Jay actually goes up 10 more life, and he's unsure if there's a way to deal enough damage that way. Looking for the second grape shot. So I think what Nick's really short on here is rituals, right? Like he's lots of action and lots of card draw, but no way to ramp mana. Yeah, Storm 7, Storm 8, I don't know, somewhere around there. There we go. Found some gas. Cast the other Manamorphose, because why not, right? Yep. Do you think that there's a reason? Oh, I guess you can't reman the flashback to Manamorphose.
Oh, that's another grape shot, I think. Was it? There's an empty. Empty's D's. Yeah, we got another
there
grape
we
shot. And
go.
then we're
Second
gonna
grape shot.
And you're actually you should loot off the brawl, Nick, because you countered a spell.
True. Yikes. 3 grape shots for 11, 12, and 13 closes the game. That was crazy. Storm found its lines. Was super well played.
That was a sick game.
Yeah.
It was a really fun one. It exposed that my storm counter was not really meant to go to double digits. Exactly. Oh no.
Well, if we get 10 new subscribers tonight, we'll fix the storm counter.
So if anyone is tuning in on chat here, we actually have a subscriber goal. Do you want to run that down, Ian?
Yeah, so if we can hit 50 subscribers, we are currently at, this is kind of an anytime goal. This is a lifetime goal. We're currently at 13. If we can get to 50 subscribers, then we will dedicate part of an evening to all of the broadcasters doing karaoke to their favorite song. So you will get to hear each of our broadcasters singing one song of karaoke.
Yeah, and I feel like that's definitely you, me, and Urchin, and then Vinny's like committed now, even though.
Yeah, we got him.
Someone has to record, so I'll be there to record.
I think we have to Curran probably too. So.
Yeah, you got at least you have 3 people for sure, and if we can rope 2 to 3 more
there's
in.
no roping. We're making a commitment right now.
Okay.
I mean, I think make Guardian host a.
This has to happen in the bar.
Yeah.
This is. Yeah.
Guardian has a bar.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it
yeah,
has to
that's
happen
perfect.
in the bar. Oh, well, take a little bit of a breather here, probably for a minute or two, and we'll be back with round number 3. And we got a segment that we should think about during this break. So we'll see you in a minute.